Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. I'm trying to get all the back end stuff organized. Okay. So today's the 14th of September, and open up the comments. And I just want to wish my baby brother a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, baby brother.
Yes, he's a daddy and he's in the Navy, but there's nothing little about him. But he's nonetheless, I think he's God in his early 30s. Anywho, and I wanted to say rest in peace to Norm Macdonald. That was so sad. I just noticed. I mean, literally just saw it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, a lot of people being affected by that. There's a lot of people talking about it on social media.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi,
I
Deb.
I also want to say rest in peace. I feel like the only a hole in the room though, because I never thought he was funny. But he's a like a great human being,
Yeah.
and obviously I'm saddened by the fact that he passed. But um, just never a fan of his work, and I think I might be the only person because everybody else is like, all over it.
Yeah. I just knew someone else passed away, and it was like, my goodness, my goodness. So hello,
Huh,
Michelle. Hello. So we have a very interesting discussion tonight.
we
Um,
do.
I kind of like it, but I do want to remind all of us, me included, that you and I are going to be coming at this. We're going to be pretty much on the same page, but we're coming at it from two different angles. You are coming at it as a paranormal investigator, the founder of a paranormal team where you actually work cases, research, and I come at it as from a spiritual, karmic, energy, vibrational point of view. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Bottom line is, there's a good chance we're going to make friends tonight.
And there's a good chance that we are going to piss some people off.
Yeah. Usually the people. You got to give me a heads up on that. I was
I
talking.
I did. Your head came this way, my head went that way. Go ahead.
Um, Usually the people that do get mad at this subject are the folks that we're trying to reach. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you get butt hurt tonight, you know, I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, wear
Well, yeah.
it.
And you know what? It's not it's non-judgmental. It really is. I know people are gonna be like, bullshit, that is so judgmental. I'm coming at it from I'm usually called in most of the time after there's already been a lot of activity and other people have been involved. Other teams have normally come through. I do a lot of remote viewing, so it's um it's important that I stress the imperative magnitude of ignoring some of these things tonight, especially at a time when the world is quaking. I was just trying to find the right words of how to say, here's what Tim's going to say. And then I'm like, don't you ever say that. I never told you so. So there's your spiritual message. It's like, did April say that? Yeah. So, there are reasons I get called in to clean up stuff energetically, spiritually. And you know, I have a little bit of a say about that. Like when you clean up a store in the evening when you're closing, you want to tell the families of all the kids who are throwing it apart, what not to do. Anywho, so Tim,
Well, the first thing that people need to understand listening to the show is, I'm not going to tell you how to investigate. I'm not going to tell you how to run your team. I'm not going to tell you, that you should do everything that I should do. What I am going to do is point out things that are blatantly wrong and that we as a field should not do. And yeah, and those things are going to be a little controversial. But anyway, the first one on my list is plain and simple: don't be an asshole. And that really goes for life in general. Um, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion. Um, I think that's great. It's all well and good. But when you get so caught up in your opinion that you hate everybody that disagrees with you, then there's a problem. And I think that's really a big problem just in society in general
Mhm.
at this point. So the first thing we need to all do is practice not being an asshole. And for some folks, that's a really difficult thing to do because they just live and die on opinions.
So
And
so let's break that down for a moment because
let's do that.
you could say asshole and mean look at that asshole, look at that asshole. You could say it so many different ways. So what does it mean to be an asshole when you are working within the paranormal field?
I
I know
think
that's
first,
a wide
yeah, I think first and foremost is not having your client's best interest in mind. I
Mm,
think sacrificing your client's well-being and their mental health
mhm.
for your YouTube views.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
you get into this field and you start doing residential cases, you have an obligation. Whether you want to admit that or not, you have an obligation. You chose to do this. If you want to go and have fun and do things that are fun, then go pay 85, 100, $150 a night to go to these really well-known haunted locations, and then then you can do anything you want. But if you're going to go into somebody's home, you have a responsibility. You have an obligation not to be an asshole. And it's just these are things that I've run into in the 14 years that we've been doing this. And I'm not going
And
to name names.
so
I'm not
no,
going to
but
name names tonight. We're not going to name teams. Um, but there are some really egregious things that have happened in the 14 years that I've been an investigator that just needs to be brought to light.
But oh, what a segue. It was like we practiced that. Um brought to light. Yes, and I'm going to kind of reword the don't be an asshole. Um it's important that when you are in any environment that you are kind and selfless and that you are open to different possibilities. Uh, and more importantly, well, I guess this is going to go into all of it. Being an asshole means totally disrespecting while you're there. Most people don't look at the intention behind why they are where they're at, whether it's the home they live in is has activity, or as an investigator, or as someone that loves to get drunk and go to all the paranormal events. That was, I needed to say that for so many years. But yes, respect both sides. But I find that in a lot of the events I've done when I'm leading a group or teaching is to tell people, hey, would you talk to your grandmother that way? Would you intoxicate yourself before you show up? You don't know what energy you're in. You don't know what energy you're in. And where you are is your point of attraction. It's everything. So, yeah, I don't want to get too physical. I know Deb and I could probably do this for days, but we do want to get through this list because this is such an important topic tonight. I'm writing this down because you and I are going to do an ebook on this shit. So, number one, don't be an asshole. All right. Number
Number two,
two.
number two, I'm going to read it. Treat the client with respect.
Mm.
That's a big one. And the reason for that, and this sounds so grandiose, but when you really think about it, sit down, look in the mirror, and think about it, it's the absolute truth. Out of all the teams in the world that they could have trusted to bring into their home, they picked you. It's your obligation not to break that trust. Um, that's a big one for me. It really is. So many horror stories that I've heard from clients that have had other teams in before us, and it's just gone sideways and sideways so badly. And what it really comes down to is people that don't respect the spirit and don't respect the family, and think that this is going to lead them to something.
Well, that's actually one of the most important parts of this entire thing, the show, everything we do together. uh, is you are in it for one of two reasons. You are in it because it is more of a hobby, and or popularity, competition, notoriety, or you're in it to help people. In fact, any spiritual work should always be numero uno. You're in it to help people. You're not in it for the money. I've met way too many intuitives in it for the money, or in it because it's a job. It's one of the most sacred experiences. You're going to totally rack up karmic points. So if what is your intention? And so when you are gifted the opportunity, readings, whether you're one-on-one, whether it is going through a client's home and working a case, uh, no matter what the opportunity is, it is a gift, and you have someone else's soul in your hands. And, if you may not be able to help them, and then being honest with yourself, maybe you just formed a team and you need some, you got to rack up some experience hours. Say no, but I can refer you to, build a referral list, a support list of reputable connections. Anywho, I think respect is so important because when you are hired as an investigator to come in and help a family, an individual, a business, these individuals are contacting you because something is very real in their world and it's very paranormal. It's not normal to them. And most of the time, there is fear involved. And if you go into anything with a lack of consideration and respect, you are hurting more than you are helping. Okay, Tim, number three.
Well, I want to point out also that we're talking about 10% of the teams here. We're talking about 10% of the people that go into
Yeah,
these rooms. I'm not trying to paint this picture with the broad brush and say that the paranormal is just filled with these horrible, horrible folks. But they do exist. And that's the reason that we're doing this show. Um, the third point is, and you mentioned something about it here. Remember that family, for that family, it can be terrifying.
yeah,
Choose your words carefully. I cringe when people tell me to have fun. I
yeah.
absolutely cringe when I say I'm going on a residential investigation, and inevitably somebody always comments and says, "Have fun." That bothers me, and maybe I'm just too sensitive to it.
Hmm.
Um, but it bothers me because I don't think there's any room for fun in something like that. When you're really involved in a case that, you know, is not fun for the family. I don't think there's any room for laughing and joking um, in front of the
Right.
family on an investigation like that. Um, I go back to many, many years ago, and we had a person that was new on our team at the time. And at the end of the night, she went up to the client and she said, "Thank you for letting us in the house tonight. This was a lot of fun." And that person's no longer on the team. That's how
Yeah.
seriously I take that.
Yeah, Jamie
So,
Lynn is correct. An education moment. It's a teachable experience, um, as my pastor used to say. But you, this is what brings me back to saying, when you are going to form a team and you're going to work cases, I see people forming a team and putting uh, experimental investigations on Amazon. Where there's no cases ever even worked. They don't even know the proper channel of the process. So it is very much like taking someone you love so very much to a therapist or a doctor. You would do your research. You would hope that this doctor or this therapist could provide relief, could provide help. So it's important that we listen and we try to soothe, we support, and we are there to shift. We're there to shift energy, whether it's get to the core of it, whether it's to figure out what is it paranormal, no matter what, we're there to shift the energy. And so when you ask yourself, I'm here to shift energy, what energy are you shifting? Are you shifting it and blowing it up? Are you creating more of a problem? You don't always stop and think about the result of your actions. So all right, I just needed to touch on that because I take feelings so very seriously. I will normally feel in an environment before I understand or can comprehend. Um, and to me, feelings and emotions are the very reason. I know that there's caveats, but is the bulk of why certain spirits stay earthbound. I never really run into a bunch of hauntings where the girls are like, "We're shopping today. It's such a great day." I just had to stay behind because of this department store. Normally, there's a death, or there's an emotion behind that. Okay, so you said
Well,
emotion and feelings, and I was like all over it.
one other thing on that topic too is,
Sorry.
and this doesn't cover ethics or etiquette in the paranormal. Sometimes you click with a client. Sometimes your personalities click, and they have so much trust in you that you build this outstanding relationship, and they feel comfortable with you. And anybody that knows my personality, I'm going to try to make you laugh. So, as a caveat to what I just said, where there's no laughing and there's no smiling, there's no place for that. Sometimes that's exactly what they need. But you got to read the room. You have to read the room and become comfortable with that client. So, anybody that's listening that has done investigations with me or is on the team, you're probably scratching your head and going, "But I've seen you joke around with clients all the time." That's in a moment where there's a comfort level between the family and the team. I certainly wouldn't walk in to somebody that's having problems with, something affecting their child and instantly make jokes to try to get them to smile. That's not appropriate. But yeah, so there's been times. I mean, and that's another thing. It doesn't go along with etiquette, but sometimes these folks end up being like family.
Yes.
You spend so much time with them, and they put so much trust in you that you form this incredible bond, and you're
Well,
the person that you look to.
it's exchange of energy. It's on some level there to most of those who are experiencing what they believe or what is actual paranormal activity. It's very much a traumatic experience. So when you're panicky, when you're afraid, and you reach out for help, especially in this realm, this is not an area where the average public thinks you are sane. When you start talking about, oh my gosh, I'm thinking something is going on at home or to my spouse, or most of the time you don't have many areas to go and feel supported without someone wanting to lock you up. So you do form a bond with some of these people. I'm sorry, I have this wired in my headphone and it's getting stuck on everything, and I could just say spirit spinning my laptop. All right. But yeah, very again another really really good point of view. Number 4, Mr.
No,
Miley.
number 4, no matter what you've seen on TV, don't go yelling and screaming in someone's house.
Hmm.
You get to leave, and they are left to handle the aftermath. A lot of times, and I'll tell people this anyway. We go into the home and we try to be as respectful as we can because we're trying to help the spirit, and the family at the same time. But a lot of times when we go into the home, and I'm sure you've experienced this, April, you go into a home and the spirits, especially with your gift, the spirits are all excited because holy shit, she can hear me, she can see me, I can talk to her. Well, it's
Or
the
the
same thing.
complete opposite. They're pissed
Yeah,
that I'm there.
but it's the same with us. Sometimes the spirits are so excited
Yeah.
that somebody finally is in the home that can potentially hear them, that that activity or that energy can last for a day or two after we leave. So
Right.
even with us being respectful and courteous, the activity can ramp up in the day or two following our visit.
Hmm.
Now imagine if you're a spirit that is sitting in this home and you're getting yelled and screamed at and you're being ordered to do things. You may not answer that team. You may not answer that medium. But there's a good chance you're going to answer that family after that team or medium leaves.
Oh
And I
yeah.
don't ever want to be the cause of that. So just try to. It goes back to respect.
It's number one, always number one.
Respect the family enough not to do that, and respect the spirit enough.
Don't be an
Um,
asshole.
yeah, and I can hear people already. But what if you're dealing with a spirit that just is difficult?
Mm.
You still don't incite that. You still don't push that to a level where, remember, you get to go home. Unless you're moving in with this family and you want to deal with the consequences, um, practice some respect and try to get to the bottom of it without causing that family any more anguish or any more pain.
Very smart. I wish we had a
Sometimes I talk about paranormal and it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, but
it's amazing because you are so into tonight's stuff. You're like ba-bum, ba-da-ba-ba-bum, and I love it. You said the 2 letters. You said TV. Most people out there only believe that the paranormal field is what they see on TV. I will tell you from experience, by the time it gets in front of your eyes, it is so edited. I'm not saying that what they're showing is not always accurate, uh, but there is a lot of editing going involved on the Teresa Caputo Long Island medium. Fantastic medium, but you're only seeing the readings in the street that were on point. There is no psychic medium that's 100% of the time. So I would like for you, again, these are growth opportunities. Think outside the box. What you see on TV is a very small portion of what an actual paranormal investigation is like. Most of the time it's quiet. You hurry up and wait. I believe that most people mean well, but because they've never truly been up against dark energy, and I say that very respectfully and carefully because I don't want to step on anyone else's traumatic experience, because there are some human beings that can come across growling, but so can your Uncle Bob, So we've got to keep in mind that, again, that's why you call professionals, because they are there to investigate this energy for you. It is important that you never find out what it's like to be face to face with true dark energy.
I want to address a question in the comment section if I can.
Yes.
This one, yes. Do you educate the homeowners how to protect themselves after you leave? Short answer is yes. Long answer is they never get rid of us. Once we come and investigate your home, I'm a part of your family. You need help, you ask me a question, I will walk you through it. We don't just leave and then never talk to them again. And that's another thing, that when you get into the paranormal, not a lot of people understand that. And that's okay. That's okay because it's something that I don't think enough people shed light on. Once you have that relationship with that family, unless you ruin that relationship, they're going to continue to come to you with questions. They're going to continue to come to you for answers because you're the one that they trust.
Right.
And when you think about it, that's a beautiful thing. It comes with a lot of pressure. Residential cases, a little bit of a pressure cooker sometimes. You really don't want to make any mistakes. And I've made so many mistakes, but you learn from them. And you're humble enough to be on your own show and say, there's plenty of times I've looked back at investigations and I thought, man, we could have done that better.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want people to get the wrong idea here that I'm coming on here preaching and saying, that I'm 100% perfect. I'm not. I mean, I think if you decide that you know everything in the paranormal, that's the moment that everything else passes you by. And the field passes you by and people stop treating you special and all that. So it's up to us to continue to research, to continue to learn, and to continue to grow.
I see all too much of teams going in to investigate because it really is a hobby. They may not admit it. Again, what happens is they end up leaving, and you hear the saying over and over again is you could make the environment worse. You could make it worse. You don't know what worse is because there are other individuals that have to go in and provide that help that this individual needs. So it is so important that part of what you're doing is to not go in, fluff up stuff, especially if you don't know. Be honest. Again, you don't ever want to step into something that you are not able to spiritually, energetically, and vibrationally handle.
And there's going to be situations where you use your network of friends within the field.
Right.
I've heard,
Absolutely.
I hear so many people pissing pissing all over paranormal conventions. Paranormal conventions, quite honestly, is where I have created the best network of friends that I could have ever hoped for, because I have so many folks in this phone that if I don't know the answer, I can call them. If I can't put the puzzle together completely, I can call them. And I'll say this, any teams in the area, I hope they know that if they get to a point where they can't figure it out, they can call me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll help anytime I can. April, you've helped us on residential cases.
Yeah.
Remotely, I've brought you in to talk to families. And that's because you have a special gift that I don't have. And
We
you have a way of putting that puzzle together for us. And it really is all about that client. And at that point, you got to put your ego to the side and say, okay, this is all for this family. And we're going to do everything we can. We're going to exhaust every option. And it's not going to be about me. It's going to be about them.
It is beyond consideration. It is compassion. And unfortunately, that is a massive pandemic that our globe is experiencing right now. Because if you really are applying anything that we're talking about tonight, you can apply it in any area of your life. And it could get you a raise. It could, land you the love of your life. I mean, compassion and consideration and respect are everything in life, especially to yourself. Number 4, you were talking about provoking of what you see on TV, poking the bear. Just because you see professionals do it on TV, it does not mean that other professionals think that it's a good idea. So you don't ever want to go into an environment. Deb, you are the poster child of what a psychic medium should be. You are an empath. You are fueled by the desire to help and ease confusion and pain, to bring some sort of relief. And if I could clone you a million billion times, we would be fine. Global warming wouldn't be a problem. But there's so much going on in humanity, with humanity changing. Hopefully layers of consciousness are peeling off, because people are starting to think differently. People are saying, hey, don't just rush in to, so-and-so's aunt's house because they said it's haunted. You don't know what's there. And if you're not familiar with energy, people joke, something followed me home. You don't realize sometimes how malicious lower vibrational energy can be. They could pick with depression. They could, play with low self-esteem, and not to where it's extreme. I mean, that's really the point, is just to kind of keep you pissy. It keeps it disconnected from your light. So I start talking, and I love the opportunity to inspire others to be better where they are.
You mentioned compassion a little bit
Yes.
ago. And one point I wanted to make, anybody that's listening to this show and you're thinking to yourself, there's room for improvement, that's great. Because there's room for improvement for all of us.
Yes.
There really is. And the question from Deb, no. I know plenty of people that have never been on TV before that could investigate circles around the people on TV.
Right.
And for the most part, that's the case. But the number one feature, or the number one quality in a person that we look for in a member of our team is compassion. Because my thought is, I can teach you paranormal. I can't teach you to be a good person. I can't teach you not to be an asshole.
Bingo.
And that's what it comes down to. We mentioned TV a while back, and I wrote some notes because, I didn't want to forget. I'm 46, and sometimes I forget. A very good friend of mine, and I'm not going to say names because I don't want to get him in trouble. A very good friend of mine who was on a very popular paranormal TV show once told me that nothing we do is ever staged or faked. But once it gets to the editing room, once the director and the producer start talking about it, that's when they have to start worrying about selling ad space and ratings.
Right.
And I always thought that was very, very honest. The folks that are on those shows, for the most part, are decent people. I've met a few of them that I could probably do without, but for the most part, they're decent people. But when it gets to the folks that need to make the money, that's when the sensationalism comes in. That's when the did that really happen comes in. So I wouldn't be so quick to blame the people that are on the show, is what I'm saying.
No. Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, again, there are times where, when you shoot, you don't have a lot of say so on what ends up on the record episode. So, no, I totally believe that. I've known people that have left shows because of that reason. But it's interesting to me, and Deb can understand this, Tim, that you can't, but you're not you don't embrace your empath psychic side. I've noticed some of the most successful individuals, and I'm talking like everything they touch just seems to turn to gold. I see a lot of darker energy behind that. So when people go, my God, they're so lucky, you don't know what's in the working behind the scenes. I'm not talking about the media or the TV network. I'm talking about energy fueling other intentions. Some of that stuff, people that have never left their house before, live for some of these shows, and that level of fear. You remember Monsters Inc.?
I've seen it a few times. I'm afraid to admit.
You remind me of Sully. I love it.
Because I'm big and hairy, or
I don't know. You just remind me of Sully. You should be Sully for Halloween. All right, that's your next furry outfit. Yes. You will land a date with that. I promise you. All right.
Landing a date is not the issue.
I know, but
every time somebody says that, it makes me sound pathetic.
No, you could get dates, but you want to date someone when they notice you because you're dressed as Sully. Am I wrong, all the women watching this?
I think the show has gone off the rails. I was going to say we've covered a lot of topics here, and I still have a few left.
I just wanted to make a quick point. And I know my points aren't quick, but it's a really good one. Monsters Inc. So the idea behind that was getting the kids to scream so much, and it was building energy on the other side. So they wanted to, scare the kids and get them to scream and tap screens. But when they started laughing, they lost all the power. So to me, that's I know Deb's peeing her pants right now, but Deb understands this on a vibrational level. When darker energy could keep us, or forget darker energy, your mother-in-law, all right, or your ex, when they could get to us and keep us in that pissed off energy, it's almost like, there's like attracts like. So that's just really important to me because everything is energy. All right, Tim, number 5.
Well, I was going to ask if everybody had any questions.
Okay, perfect.
Because there's got to be people out there that are wondering, what are their thoughts on this? What are their thoughts on that? And I want to give people a chance to get involved and interact. And it's nice to see that Deb is peeing her pants. That's great. It's also great to see Jasmine Solberg in the chat room. She's a member of our paranormal team. I saw Michelle Nason in here earlier. She disappeared on us though.
She was up in here.
But
Jasmine she's adorbs.
And Dana Stricker's in here, and Dana's a great tool.
She is a tool. That's great.
Kelly Anderson's here. Kelly Anderson. Just fantastic people. But okay, so if anybody does have any questions of what we covered, I try not to. Sometimes we can't avoid it.
Great question.
It
Ooh.
I never want to use kids as guinea pigs. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Um, but sometimes you can't avoid it. If the issue is around the children, the first
Yes.
investigation, we will come in and we will investigate without the children there. And we've come in like during the afternoon and just kind of blended in and acted like a part of the, like, hey, these are mom and dad's friends, just to kind of interact with the child without them kind of knowing what we're talking about. And then there's other times where the parents want us to talk to the child. So it really depends on the situation. No puzzle's the same. I try to avoid it the best I can because, like I said, I don't want to ever put a child in a position where we are calling on a spirit to do something with a child in the home. That doesn't make me comfortable. It never makes me comfortable. And in those situations, we will call on friends. And I have called on Deb in that situation because she's worked with children. So it's a very good question. And Deb already knew the answer.
I mean, because you don't know what you're dealing with, I want to triage. Now, I have compliance policy and procedure experience in my professional corporate background. I love policy and procedures, and there are some basic ones when you are working cases. And I have seen many professionals use investigations to be a teachable experience for children. Like, come on in here, let me show you how we're doing this. To me, then you have completely lost why you're there. It's a very fragile situation when children are involved because children are involved. So you want to protect them as much as possible. You want to triage the situation. You really want to get a good handle on what's going on before you even have to bring the child in. And most of the time, you do not have to bring the child in during the main investigation. So,
agreed. One other point I want to make is also with child spirits. Child spirits, I take that very personally. It's an emotional thing for me. Folks that know me know about our case from, 9 years ago already. The case that kind of put us on the map, you can say. And I ended up on Paranormal Witness for dealing with the spirit of a 2-year-old boy. For me, it comes down to earning the trust of that spirit and treating that spirit as though it was a living child and interacting with them in that way. So it's important to do things like get on the floor and make yourself smaller. Ask simple questions. The number one thing we did on that case was earn the trust of the spirit. And we wouldn't have gotten anywhere if we hadn't done that. So, children in the home versus child spirits, same approach. You really need to come at that situation with compassion. And again, that's one of the reasons I'll put the people in Fox City's paranormal team up against any team out there as far as, the level of people that we have. And I would hope anybody that runs a team would say that.
You would hope.
I would hope they would say, you know what, Tim, you're wrong. My people are the best. I want you to say that. I want you to disagree with me because you should believe in your people. You should believe in the folks that you go into these situations with because you have to be able to trust them. There has to be a level of love. And
no, do you know how many times I've seen team members beat the crap out of each other? I mean, not always physically, but emotionally, during investigations, talking about each other. Like, this is definitely not the place that you want to bring drama. This is why I also say don't get drunk when you go to an event or work a case. I don't know. I mean, to me, some of it is common sense, but
I don't drink on an investigation, but I have been known to go to the bar after an event.
Of course.
So I just don't want people saying, hey, I've seen Tim and he's had a few.
No. I mean, when you're not working, that that goes
Yeah.
anywhere, right?
But yeah, so great question by Deb.
Very much so,
Um,
yeah.
is it easier to do an investigation without animals in the house? Curious how they react.
Ooh,
Um,
Aaron.
Short answer is yes, it is easier without animals in the house because you have control over the environment and you know where everything is. That being said, I understand that families sometimes cannot relocate their 3 cats and 2 dogs. So we do the best we can in that situation. And everybody on the team is an animal lover. So we make the best of it. And usually the person sitting at the monitor is also on cat and dog duty
Oh.
and trying to, give them enough love that they don't feel the need to run into the room. But we work around it. We make the best of it. It's not ideal, but it's tough enough to get people. I've been asked this question a lot by folks that have contacted us. Do you need us to leave the home? In an ideal situation, yes. But you just met me, and I don't
Mhm.
feel comfortable telling you that you need to leave 5 strangers in your house for the entire night while you leave. So that really comes into the aspect of trust between the family and the team.
Mhm.
We need to earn that before they say, you know what, here's the key. We
Tim, I
know that you're
agree with you, because I think way too many people are open and they don't think. And uh, there are a lot of teams out there that really don't screen before they bring people on their team. And some of that screening is minimal, if at best. So uh, that's a little scary when you think about it. But the animal thing, it baffles me how many people go into an environment and don't even think about animals in the space. When, as Jamie Lynn said, animals are often, if the energy is a pain in the ass, animals are often a target. They are so sensitive to energy. There's a reason on their little bags of food it says, when you change the food, or the vet will tell you, their stomachs can get really irritated. They're so sensitive. So anytime something is off energetically in the room, you'll notice how your animal will respond. And this does bring me to one of the more popular shows and long running shows that has been on television way before provoking was a thing. Then you should know what I'm talking about. But I didn't agree with this one thing. I really liked that show. It was what I was really exposed to first in my quest of what the hell is this. But they started to bring one of their dogs on investigations. And the only thing I could think of is they worked that location before. They really know what they're dealing with, and then it is safe. That's what I'm hoping happened. But just like you can bring crap home and it won't show up as anything other than a really heavy present sadness for like weeks and weeks and weeks, that can happen to the animals too. So I don't understand. I don't, it's, the animals are not bait. And nobody is bait. I've seen people put animals in a place during an investigation and put other people in a place during an investigation where they were uncomfortable. Aaron, that was a great question. Deb, meet my Aaron. Aaron, meet my Deb. All right. Tim, did you want to piggyback on any of
I
that?
did. I had a chance a few years ago to speak at Old Mill Parafest in Dundee, Michigan, and there were folks at that event from that show you're talking about.
Yes.
And when I got done with my lecture, they were in the room. And question and answer. And the first question was, do you take Murray on investigations?
Ooh.
And I said, absolutely not, because we choose to go into these situations. We make that choice for ourselves. I care too much about him to put him in a situation that could possibly harm him.
Yeah.
And I think that folks that do that on TV are being irresponsible. And all of a sudden, there was a hush. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer, and
Exactly.
I don't care whose feelings I hurt. It was just my opinion. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I wouldn't take an animal on an investigation. We've had animals targeted during investigations. I can think of one case in particular where the family left us in the home with their dog. They left the house. They left the dog with us because they couldn't take the dog with them. And the dog was this giant dog and just the biggest sweetheart in the world.
Oh,
And she was just amazing. Now, the family had a shock collar on the dog, which I'm not a fan of. Um, but they had a shock collar on this dog, and the spirit in the home was setting this thing off. And she was completely quiet. And
poor baby.
people that are listening to this are thinking, well, how does he know it was a spirit? Because she was sitting there dead silent, and all of a sudden this thing beeped 3 times, and she panicked, and it shocked her. And family or not, I took the shock collar off of her because I didn't want it to happen again. But we put her in her kennel so we could go into the basement, and we actually captured a voice that night next to the kennel talking to the dog.
Oh my God. What was it? Was it a positive or negative?
It was negative.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
yeah, it was one of those things where the spirit in the home did not like children, did not like animals, and it made it very obvious. But yeah, I've talked for a while. We got some more questions. They're coming through here.
yeah. Comments about what we're saying. I love all the interacting. I love it.
I do. I love people to actually be involved in the show instead of sitting there and just
watching us being involved only. This is really going to fascinate some of you and Tim and Deb. Deb can again understand. But working remotely. So what does that mean? That means I'm sitting here in my little house in East Texas, and Tim's in Michigan, and or what depends where
Tim's
you're
in
at.
Wisconsin.
Well,
Tim's in Wisconsin.
but if you have to be in Michigan, so he's in Michigan, and I get called in to remotely view the areas. Clearly, I'm not there, and it's not like they take me around on FaceTime. And what is interesting is part of reading this location is if there are animals present, I'm reading the animal and how they're responding to the energy that's present. So it is interesting because I learn a lot about cases and experiences through the animals involved, whether the animal is in the environment or not. So, it is important if you can remove them while your location is being investigated. Please do that. Before you start anything, you should ask your client, are there any animals present? What's their story? Have you noticed any changes in their behavior? Is it more during the day or in the evening? Is it a certain part of the house? Again, that's basic investigating 101.
I'm reading questions now. I think Kate is asking you a question about remote viewing.
Deb, half of his heart lives in Michigan. So Kate says, I'm so curious about remote viewing, working in yes. So I would love to be able to do that. I've had moments, but not consistent. Is that something someone can learn to do, or is it more of a gift someone is born with? That's a great question. To me, I don't ever like to say someone's born with something. I do believe we are all born with abilities. The problem is so much of what I do is so real, as real as my physical eyesight. So I just know I kind of go off into a specific space. I do a lot of preparation. I do a lot of prayer prior to doing any spiritual work. I meditate often, even if it's on the toilet, 3 breaths. My clients know that. But it is important for you to do the work as an intuitive first, because then your gifts will blossom. But if you're interested in an area, then research it. But you'll find at the core of each of these areas, the individuals should be saying, please make sure that you are taking care of yourself spiritually, that you are doing spiritual things, you're breathing. That's how we receive spirit more effortlessly. I love remote viewing. I don't have to leave. It's also how I do readings. It makes mediumship very, very easy. So, it's a great question. It is a, what do they call that? And the tip of the iceberg. I would love to do a show like that one night. Aaron says, Kate, I hope that helped just a little bit. Aaron said, I will come and take them for the night. Little laugh out loud, poor things.
Well, the important thing to remember is at least when they bring us in, and I can only speak for me,
Thank you,
you're not
Christina.
you're not going to find a team that loves animals more than us. So we're going to take care of your babies first and foremost. So there's not going to be any issues there if we can help it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check out aprilroan.com. Go get a reading for gosh sakes, eh?
Thank you, Christina. I'm doing 25% off for September. So you can see all that on the website.
Yeah. And
Um,
I got 5 tickets left for Autographs for Pooches this weekend in Ripon, Wisconsin. Even if you're not going to show up,
get a ticket.
go to the website, buy the ticket. Let me say it was sold out.
It's a donation. How much are the tickets?
Tickets, what are they? 40.
Oh my
Tickets are
gosh.
$40. You can come and see Dustin Perry. You can see myself and Todd Arnold. You can see Dana Stricker, Jenny Melton, and Justin Libbigs. And then we're simulcasting Tim Woolworth into the event from Ohio. So it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic time. And I need to thank Heather Hansen and Chad Dye for making that happen. He's going to be speaking at Midwest Parafest in Toledo, Ohio, and they are going to simulcast his lecture out to us here in Wisconsin. So,
oh, how cool.
Yeah, working together. If you're in the Ohio area, you should go out to Midwest Parafest. That's all I'm saying. Great people, fantastic people. They have John Tenney, they have Exie Smith, they have Tim Woolworth, of course, and a bunch of other great people. So go check that out too.
I love our little plugs, but it's our show, so we can do that.
Yeah.
So guys, it's Fortell. What
Fortell?
What are some of your I should get me tickets? Yes. Really, all of the tickets are the money goes to Autographs for Pooches, which then goes to an organization in the area, a charity, and it's pre-picked. Tim does all the work, but it's to save animals, help animals. So all these events, that's where that money is going. Not my readings. I'm just saying. All right.
And it sounds like Tina. It sounds like Tina's not too far from Ripon, so I'll see her Saturday.
Yay! Oh my goodness! Oh, I love it. No, yes, Aaron. I love Aaron. Aaron, I got your text. I miss you. All right. So, what you should not do when working in the paranormal field. Can I just add one last thing before we?
You go right ahead.
Before we pull the curtain and I hang from it and swing. It is more important than you know for you to stand firm in your faith, no matter what that faith is. I don't care if it's a creator, a higher power, a source, a tree, Mother Nature, Mickey Mouse, whoever you are just devotedly, you believe in that power, that energy. Stand in that, make that yours, and then go into some of these environments. It's very important that you know what that is. In the event that you are in one of these environments and you have an oops, and I get the oops all the time. Something's pulling my hair when I'm sleeping. Well, you don't understand, even if you are in one of those active environments, most of the time you have to be confident in your family or in your faith, and you have to say, go. This is not allowed here. There's a reason I piss spirit off. So, keep that in mind. You don't want to get to a situation where you have to stand firm in your faith because of a spiritual experience. So, I just want to make that clear, because normally you come to me and then I got to work with you, not only to clear energy, but to help you find your way back home. So, Mr. Mindley, is there anything else you want to add?
We could probably add a bunch of things, but we're at the top of the hour, and we're going to let people go to bed.
That's a good thing. I thought I would do like these little things tonight because I can't figure out my earphones and my thing. And anyway, so I thought I'd be better than the bun. So I definitely want to take all the 9 million rubber bands out of my head. I hope that you guys enjoyed tonight's show. Let us know if there is a topic that you want us to cover. I mean, this is why we do this, to escape reality. Do you have any last minute tidbits?
No. Jimmy wants you to do a little shout out though.
Yes, for tips. Here comes the fairy music. At this time, please visit your local Facebook and give a like to Tipsy's Treasures, where your heart is aglow. All right. Um, back that was free advertising. You're welcome, Christina. I would love to connect with you about Louisiana. I'm close. All right, next topic: tin caps and aliens. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I just want to wear aluminum hats with my co-host. I love you both and thank you for all that you do. Ditto, Deb. I think Deb and I have been working together way much longer than just when we've met. All right, guys. So,
ta-da. Remember, it's okay
to not be okay. We'll see you next week on Escape Reality Podcast, where we take you to the stars. Okay, I think we go now. Bye.